Lesson of the week is about expansion. And so just watch. Now, I know you've seen this before, but it's truly magical when you put it in the context of Tai Chi. Are you ready? You might be all sitting down for this because it's really, pretty impressive. Balloon. Ta-da! Thank you, thank you. And yes, I did practice beforehand to make sure that I could blow up the balloon. But that is what expansion is all about, right? So what is the balloon filled with? Is it filled with something tangible that you can feel? No, it's filled with just with air, exactly. So it's just filled with air, which is not something that we can feel. That's a non-tangible. And yet that air, it has so much substance. Don't you find that magical? That it has so much substance that it actually expands to a point where it creates structure that is resilient, and yet it is sound structure. And not only that, but the structure is in a, if you were to think of this as a series of arcs all around, that's what makes the sphere. And the arc, as we've discussed, is the most sound or strong architectural structure. So here we have just hundreds and hundreds or millions of little arcs creating this sphere, and all created because we filled it from the inside out in equal proportion to have this beautiful, very happy balloon. Okay? So, so that is what we do internally in Tai Chi. So what's happening external is really not as important as what's happening internal. And what should be happening internally is that you should feel like the inside of your body, from the smallest central point of your body, which we can say is the dantian, like a pinpoint in the middle of your dantian, is expanding. Or if you want it to be a more central part of your body, then choose more in the second dantian. And that expands in equal proportion with what? What's inside of this? Air, which is Qi, right? That's what Qi is. Qi, the literal translation of Qi is air. But we're not doing the air by our breath. What we're actually doing is we're creating space. And in that space is this invisible yet magical substance called Qi. And that Qi fills our, and that's the energy Qi, Qi, and that fills our body, and it creates more and more space. So the more you expand, the more space you have, right? And so that space allows the Qi to flow through your body, and it gives you this marvelous structure without collapsing. So you see, this is not muscle contraction. This is not something rigid, and it's not tension. So we do this simply by using our mind, and I envision all the internal of my body as being like a sponge, a dry sponge, one of those little expanding sponges, and that it expands, the soft part expands out into my skin. And then when I get to another level, then I'm like this. When I get to another level, then I can expand even beyond my skin, and I become more intertwined with the energy all around me. Okay, so it's just a mental exercise. Now, what is important is that, you ready for, I did this and my husband didn't know I had blown up the balloon. He was coming from behind and he heard this and he's like, whoa, what'd you have for breakfast? All right, so if I release it even just a little bit, we're leaking our Qi. And so if for some reason you feel fatigued after Tai Chi or Qigong, you shouldn't. You should feel revitalized. You should feel refreshed. And what that means, or what that's telling you, is that you're trying too hard. So you're squeezing a part of your body, and so you're no longer balanced. All right? And then on top of that, you're not making a connection, especially between the fingers. These fingers are constantly connected, even though they don't visibly look connected. If they're not connected and you're out here, then you're leaking your Qi. Okay? So we don't want to leak our Qi. We want to expand our qi, okay? We want to contain our qi so that we don't have any leaks. And we want to expand it from the soft inside in equal proportion all around us. So you have to, for me, I have to think about the backwards expanding. It's easy to think forward expansion, but imagine that you have an equal body behind you that's expanding just as much. So expansion, equal, all around, something we don't see, we don't force it, we just inflate from the inside out. And then we make connections so that we don't leak our qi. Okay? Woohoo! All right, well, let's do our Qigong. We're going to run through our 18 Qigong. And while we do that, most of those you can at least start to think about expanding. You even expand in your joints where they open up as well. And then connecting and keeping your qi contained. No leaky qi.